everyone, welcome back to Pommyinoz. Hope we're all doing really well. If you are new around here, please drop a like. Please drop a subscribe. It does help the channel out. We've absolutely caked in the subscribers in the last couple of days, and I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart. So please make sure you hit that notification bell, drop a like, do the subscribe, maybe give it a share on your socials, say there's some Pommy melt, chatting shit about football, whatever, it helps the channel. If you do want to join the channel, these legends did here. We've got Greg Whittaker, Adam Gould, Peter V, Lyndon H, Sam DiColo, Cameron Libber Jr., Sean Costello, Saint, Andrew Scott, Lana Owens, Azza James, the winner of the print last week. We will draw that tomorrow. It's my son's birthday. Peter Hayward, Alexander Lada, Timmy P, and the legend that is Byron Issa. If you are into your prints, though, PommySportsAlmanac.com.au for all your print needs. And today what we're doing is something super exciting. We're looking at 5 players that I will be keeping a close eye on who may benefit from a bit of Voss love. Here he is, David Cuningham. I think Cunners is someone that, you know, if I look at Voss's game style and I look at what Cunners is, I would be seeing a huge opportunity here. We know that the big question mark with Carlton is players off the wing. Have we got enough? Have we got the talent? And I think Cunners is someone that in the last couple of years has slotted through there, then gone across to half forward. I think he will look at this and think, you know what, there's a huge opportunity here. Build a bit of a tank up because I've got the creativity. We saw in the Hawthorn game a few years back under Bolton. There was glimpses of it as well last year before he was cruelly cut down with injury. This guy, without doubt, has got game-breaking talent. He really has got game-breaking ability, and you see a lot in it. He has a real eye for inside 50 ball. He looks like he's going to make something happen, and he naturally opens up, creates space in traffic. He really does create openings in and around the pockets because you see how he moves. He looks to cut back inside. He shifts players around him who are chasing him, which ultimately opens up the handball to a runner on the inside or on the outside channel. And he's very direct with his running patterns. He takes the game on, he goes, and he hits that space hard. And he's someone that in a game that now is really based around transition, you look at and think this guy can quite quickly get you from a contested possession in the midfield, inside forward, hitting targets very quickly. And I love Cunners. And I think he's somebody who's going to really benefit from just listening to Voss. I think it's going to be a real simplistic game plan. There's not going to be a lot of things going through the mind. And I think it's going to be down to players like him who are looking to really take the game on. And I think he'll be a player that will really benefit from Voss. I think he's had a year out, pretty much. Come back fitter, embrace the system. And a guy that has a hell of a lot of opportunity for Carlton in a position that I think we really need. So that's Cunners then. Who else have we got? Let's have a look at this bloke. Will Setterfield, the man that I think he's forgotten about. If you remember 2020, let's take you back there. Shortened seasons. This guy averaged over 5 tackles a game. And then someone at the football club had this wonderful idea to turn him into some kind of like marauding winger, defensive winger, halfback. And then when it didn't work in AFL, because looking at his skill set that wouldn't, they played him on the ball and brought him back to play in this kind of hybrid defence role. Beggars belief. But in 2020, when he was used purely as a midfielder, he really showed it. And what I love about Setters is he's not only clean in the contest, but he brings other players into the game. And I think when you listen to Voss, you listen to Sayers, and you listen to Cook and what they're trying to build, they're trying to bring a powerful brand that is consistent. And I think if you go back to 2020, he was very consistent in what he did. You saw it. He was willing to get forward. He did the hard work, but he also got forward. He was kind of like the Audi brand of Marcus Bontempelli in 2020. And I use that in the loosest sense of the word. But I think he's a guy that I think Voss will be looking at and saying, looking at the systems that he's come from, they always have a grafter, someone that can graft, and they have maybe 2 of them in the midfield. And this guy here is that big-bodied mid that is really in vogue in the AFL system. He does need a clean run at it, and really Carlton need to work out what the hell is he. But in my opinion, he's the inside midfield help. And I think he's someone that, when you look at the class that's around in that midfield at the moment, Chera and Walsh, namely. We need someone to get it out to them, and it can't be just Cripps, because we've found in the last couple of years, I think part of Cripps' problem isn't just that he's been lighter, isn't just that he's been playing injured, but I also think it's that it's obvious what Carlton are going to do. And I think in 2020, we saw when Cripps was off and injured, this guy stepped up to the plate, and if we can be blessed with both of them being there, this is it. For me, there's about 4 players in that midfield group that are probably last chance saloon. Lockie O'Brien, Kennedy, Setterfield would be one, and Dow would be other. And I don't expect to see all 4 of them on the list next year. I expect to see 2 go. And Setterfield will be one of them guys who says, you know what, my ball use, my history as a junior as well. The one question mark was my injuries. If I can get that right, get the body right, really cement this down, I think he could be a shy player, because people forget about this guy's a top 5 player. He ain't no melt. He ain't no mug. And he's a guy that I'll be watching this year and be really thinking that under the tutelage of Voss, with Austin really showing some faith in that midfield group by just bringing in one guy who is really dynamic compared to the rest of them, there is a real carrot there for a player like Will Setterfield. And he'll be going toe-to-toe, I'd imagine, with Kennedy and saying, you know what, this is my role. I'm clean, I'm good. And he's a guy that I'll be really focused on and looking at and looking forward to the development this year. And the other guy we're going to look at is this bloke. What a superstar. Sammy Philp. So again, back to the wing. We don't have one, do we? We have like Lockie O'Brien and Mr. Cottrell as our natural wings. There's this guy waiting in the wing, someone that we've forgotten about probably, and that's Sam Philp. Explosive pace. This guy, honestly, he's faster than dog poo off a very well-found stick, isn't he? And he's dynamic with his running as well. His running patterns are really intelligent. They're not just running a straight line. He looks to duck and dive. He's bobbing low. He's ducking and weaving. He's also very good at running through when there's a loose ball in the contest and just picking it up and getting the hell out of there. What I really like about Sam Philp as well is that he's both ends. He's not a one-trick pony. He's willing to track back. He's willing to put the hard work in, the second and third efforts. And with pace like that, he naturally stretches the play. And you look at other teams and what they do well, it's them runners that really take the game on. End Langdon at Melbourne is a guy that I look at and I think he's one of the most underrated players in the AFL because he's always there. He's always the outlet. Little handball inside, on the outside, I'm there. Don't worry about it. And I see Sam Philp being that one. Obviously, as a junior, he was more of an inside player, and then there was a bit of outside work. It looked like Carlton were trying to utilise him in the same thing. He's a guy here that I would say he's got 2 trains of thought. One, I'm a similar type of player to Dow when I play inside, but I'm quicker. Do I take the chance? Or does he redevelop himself as a pure outside player? But this guy is pure pace. Pure pace. He's also got that aerobic capacity that you're looking for on the wing. And he's also a nail-bad user once he finds it. He's someone here that will be looking at this list and saying, that wing roll's there for the taking. All I've got to do is turn up. And he's a guy that I'll be looking at that he's already there without us converting someone else. You know, like your Tom Williamson or your Doc. He's a guy that I'd say you don't really have to do much conversion because he's used to that role. And he's a guy that really has a string to his bow. That kind of pace on the outside really does stretch teams. It causes players to be drawn to him because they're trying to stop the space before it appears for him to run into. He's an absolute diamond. He's someone that I'll be watching with close intent this year. I'm really hoping he takes the opportunity. So that's Sammy Philp then. We've got 2 more to go, so let's have a look because we've got some really exciting ones, so stick around for that. But the first one of the 2 is Brodie Kemp. Now, I think when I look at Voss and I look at the coaches coming in, they all have one similarity. They're transition specialists and they have an interceptor that is deadly but also breaks lines. Brodie Kemp. He's the man. He showed enough for me last year of just what them type of players can do to the system. That they can bring the ball down out of the ground and then they look to take it on. And with teams playing such a high press, They're expecting that ball to come down. They're expecting it not to be marked. Or they're expecting to really pressure you and slow it down and get you encamped in 50, having to kick to the wide side so they can lock you in. Brodie Kemp breaks that mould, and you see what Aliyah does. You see what May does at Melbourne. You see these type of players and what they're good. Alex Keefe at the Doggies. What they do is they get the ball and they look to make it happen very quickly. It's an instant. It's bang, mark, right, we're out. Handball to you, Sard. Kick to you, Doc. And it's very quick. And he also has the ability, with his athletic frame, to really stretch these taller players and get out of there by foot. Genuinely a good player as well with the ball in hand. And he reads the game incredibly well. He's got that uncanny ability. He fits the profile as well, like we've said, of that modern third. That modern third. He has the dynamics, the shape, the physique, and the attributes that everyone is utilising at the moment. And someone that is very rare on our list. He's a good user, like we've said, and he takes the game on. And for me, he could be the ace in the pack in transition in a game that is all about transitional scoring and the ability to stop it and create it. He's your ace in the pack. And someone that this year particularly, and not a lot of the clubs will really focus on early doors. So someone that can gain a lot of confidence early. If I'm Vossi, I'm looking at this guy and I'm thinking, I've got something here. And if I'm Brodie Kemp, I'm looking around and saying, they need someone to play with Young. They need someone to play with Jones, with Jones out, with Wheater in. Mitch McGovern's been mentioned, but you know what? I'm 10 times the footballer Mitch McGovern is. I offer things that Mitch McGovern can't. And someone that really locks the game down. And I love this kid. Good one-on-one, good on the ground, good in the air. They're as rare as rocking horse poo. A really exciting player. And we come to the end. And there can only be one, can't they? We haven't talked about. And that is Jack Silvagni. Now, where does Jack fit into it? But why would he see Voss as a benefit? I'll tell you why. He talks about consistency, powerful brand, being competitive, and that C word and that P word, powerful and consistent, he has in abundance, doesn't he? A real effort-based player. He has the eye as well. Remember a couple of years ago, leading inside 50 conversion to goal scoring attempts. He uses it well. He's smart. He's got footy IQ. He works hard and has the eye for that exceptional. He really does see and he understands how the players run around him, which is rare. Quite often when you see Jack, particularly when he's gone deeper, is he spots runs. Where a lot of players just run and they're like, oh, I'm just going to run really fast, aim at the 50. He always is looking. He got his head round. You see, he's like this all the time. It's like a nodding dog put on its side. He's always looking around and reliable and sets the tone for me. Look at him when he played ruck. Look at him when he's moved back. Look at him when he's been found in fullback. Doesn't matter where this guy is. He gives you 7, 8, 9, 10, 10 out of 10. We've probably 7 out of 10 output at worst in the terms of quality. Jack Silvagni, for me, one of the most underrated footballers on the planet. Absolutely, because you need players like these. All clubs have players. Speaking to a Richmond player and fan the other day, and he was saying that Camden McIntosh, most underrated player they've got. And you look at him and you see why. Because for your stars to do star things, you need players that turn up week in when they don't. And this is what Jack does. And I think, call it a gut. If I was Voss, I'd be saying, throw this guy in the midfield. I need someone like him who's going to constantly raise that bar. And for me, it's hard when you watch Jack and when you watch him in the midfield, how well that midfield tackled when he was in the ruck, because he's infectious. Like, you can't not watch him and not want to get your hands dirty. This kid is, for me, I don't use the S word a lot, but star. Star, like, he would be in my first 5 named on the team sheet, to be honest. Just purely because what you see is what you get. You trust him. You trust him. And I know some other people have had loyalty to other players and loyalty to just ridiculous things. If you want loyalty, buy a dog. But you want trust, you buy Jack. Because you can trust him to do a job. And for me, if I'm Vossi, I'm looking at this kid and saying, you know what? He's my mid. He's my mid help. He's the hard edge to my class. And I think they need another hard edge in there, another consistent workhorse. And this guy gives you a shift. And I think Jesus will be saying, you know what? I spent that pre-season where I was tagging Cripps and I killed him. Really got him ready for that big year. Why can't I do that day in, day out? And I love Jesus, and it's something that I'd love to see because he is such a smart footballer. That's the list then. Let me know what 5 you're looking at. There's some more lucky ones to not mention as well. Tom Williamson would be in the conversation. Mitch McGovern, Zach Williams. Who are you really looking at for a big year? Let me know in the comments. Let's have a discussion. Till next time, much love, Pommyinoz.